The next thing is networking. It's not who you know, it's what you know. Here is a statistic. Only 12% of people get jobs from job sites. What's that tell you about job sites? Say again? Not useful? You know I'm trying to trick you. So, say again? I couldn't hear you. It's all about who you know. It's all about who you know. Absolutely. Thank you very much. I got hearing aids, okay? I can't even hear myself. Are these things on? Check, check. Usually I forget them, okay? It's not you, it's me. So the point is when you're... Help, help, help. Help, help, help. Bad boy. Man, I am not working today. Okay, there we go. There we go. Come on, baby. Come on. Oh, I should point this way because that's where the computer... Why is it not working? Okay, there we go. When you're looking for a job, you cannot afford to ignore a channel that gives you a 1 out of 6 chance of finding a job. Okay? So the first point that I want to make is just because you're networking doesn't mean that you don't shake every opportunity, you don't take any channel, because you never know where that job's going to come from. And I had a, when I got my sales manager job, I answered a classified ad because one of my friends told me you have to add to the classified ad because you need to get out there. And the ad was really hokey. It was like, world-class company wants world-class person for world-class job. Okay. So I went to them for interview practice. I just said, what the heck is it? And then when I got to the interview, I realized that the company was kind of fun, and all of this world-class stuff was from the consultant that they'd hired to do their search for them. So once I got past the consultant, I found out that this is a company that might be fun, and that's actually the job that I got. So you can't afford to ignore the low volume, low opportunity things, but you want to put your effort into networking. Okay, the most common, oh, I see what I did here. I am, there we go. In addition to my ears not working, there we go. I see it. But, oh, it's already up? There we go, okay. We're going to fix this in post-production. So this is the time-honored way of building a network. It's becoming harder to do because people get busier these days, and it's not as easy to get 30 minutes of somebody's time to talk about a career opportunity. But it's still a valid job searching technique and an important job searching technique. And it's called the referral interview, or sometimes called an information interview. And the idea with an the idea with an information interview is you're working on that generative instinct. Is you want to identify somebody who has been successful in the career that you're looking for. And then you try to get a meeting with that person to talk about what it takes to be successful in that career. Okay? And again, the goal is this is also a way to get industry knowledge, because as you start talking to people, you start knowing what's going on, and a great way to build relationships. So that first interview is the hardest one to get. Again, because people are busy and they don't know you. And also, remember we talked earlier in this class that good marketing makes a bad product fail faster? Okay, this applies to job interviews too. Good marketing makes a bad product fail faster, so that if you aren't prepared, and if you come off looking like a dork, then you are going to find yourself out of opportunities faster because you're doing such a good job looking for it. So the first one is the hardest to get. If you have connections, use them. It's not unethical to use connections to open a door to get an interview. It's not unethical to use connections for anything. And again, sometimes you just have to cold call, you have to ask. Many of your classes will bring in guest speakers. Guest speakers are many times willing to meet with you later to talk about things, or they may be able to refer you to people who might have a conversation with you. So you need to get that first interview. And one of the things they taught me way back when I was in sales is many times breakfast is a good time for a meeting. Because people get kind of busy, and a lot of people schedule lunch meetings, but, you know, can I meet you for a half hour over coffee? I'm buying. Sometimes it's a good way to get your breakfast. The second thing you have to do is prepare. Like I said, good marketing makes a bad product fail faster. This is a job interview, okay? You need to prepare for this interview just as you would for a job interview. So you should know everything that's publicly available about that company. You should have read their annual reports. You should have been to their website. You should have followed some of the blogs. You should have heard about what other people are talking about them. You should know any awards that the person that you are talking to might have earned or any recognition that the company has had. It never hurts to say, I hear that you were Salesperson of the Year. Tell me about that. Well, I get tired of talking about that, but all right. And then have good questions in mind. This is an information interview. You are sincerely looking for information, and what you're trying to find out is basically, we talked about strategic planning for dummies. We haven't yet. We will. Strategic planning for dummies is figure out where you are, figure out where you want to be, and figure out a plan to get from point A to point B. Right now you're in college. Where you want to be is that person that you're talking to, and so the conversation is, how do I get from point A to point B? What do I have to do now to get where you are? And the idea is that you are successful. I would love to be successful just like you. Bring your resume. Okay. You do not lead with your resume, but you have it with you just in case. Okay? It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Okay? Because it's not a job interview, but it doesn't hurt to have the resume, and I'll show you why. And then you have the conversation. And this is, ask good questions, find out what's going on in the industry, and what's happening is you are not only building a relationship with this person, but you are getting firsthand industry knowledge about what's going on, so that the next time you have a conversation, you're going to be even smarter. And at some point, you're going to know so much about the industry that they can't afford to let you go to a competitor because you're just too dangerous. Okay? And if at some point it's appropriate, you might pull out the resume and say, here's my resume. What do I need to do to this resume to make it look like something that you would hire? What things would I do on the... Am I asking for a job? Do I have my resume in front of somebody who has the job that I want? Do they have the potential of hiring me? Okay. So, and again, I'm asking for advice. This is my resume. And that's one of the things you want to look at is the credentials, the classes. Are they similar to what the people you're getting have? Yes? So the question is, if you don't have a good feeling or if you don't think it's right for you, you have the right to ask for your resume back? Yes. Okay, you have that right. I would never do that for two reasons. One is I didn't give them the resume. I asked them to look at it. Okay, and the other is even if I give it to a company that I don't want, the worst that could happen is they're going to call me for an interview and I'll say no. But it's out there and somebody else might see it, and who knows. It never hurts to have your name out there. Okay, but again, you don't have to take the job, and if you don't, if you think they're unethical and don't want to be associated with them, then you still complete the interview. But yeah, you don't build any relationship afterward. Sometimes you get that sense that this company is not a company that I want to have anything to do with. It smells kind of funny. Then that's something important that you learned. And maybe if you learned that all your companies are like that, maybe we need to think the career. So then you complete the interview, and then this is why we call it a referral interview. You ask for a referral. Now that we've had this conversation and you can kind of see what I'm looking for, are there other people that you can think of that I should be talking to? And you get a name. That's great. Can I use your name when I contact this person? And they'll say, sure. And I say, thank you very much. Can you think of anybody else? And they might give you a name, and you say, can I use your name when I contact this person? And they say, sure, of course. And you say, can you think of anybody else? And they say, well, no, wait a minute, I've already given you two names. Again, you keep asking until they tell you to stop. And again, this is part of people. they're looking for people who are going to be just as assertive for them when you're working for them as you are when you're trying to get to work for them. So somebody who is persistent and asking good questions and following up, that doesn't make you look bad, that makes you look good. And again, the more referrals you get, the faster you can grow your network. And then follow up. Send a thank you note. A snail mail thank you note, preferably handwritten, preferably other than in a standard business size envelope. I know that sounds hokey, but why? Yes?
Because it stands out.
Because it stands out. How many emails do you get in the morning? And you're just students. So the person that you're talking to probably has hundreds of emails and maybe even have a person screening their emails for them. So you send an email thank you, or worse, you text a thank you. What's that say? Say, you're so important to me that I took 3 seconds out of my life to show my appreciation. If you send a business letter, again, how many business letters do I get every day? Especially with a typewritten thing. But if I get something handwritten, I get something that's a little different size, then that stands out. Again, it's a way of creating an anchor in the person's mind around you, creating another association. I remember with one of my mentors, we did a focus group with industry professionals many years ago. And we were flying out to meet them. And on the plane, on the way out, my mentor was writing the thank you notes. So then when we finished them, she actually dropped the thank you notes off in the mail as we left the conference. Because, I mean, thank you so much for meeting me. I learned a lot. Can you figure that's going to be the conversation? But what does that show to the person that the day after you had that conversation, they got a thank you note handwritten saying how much we appreciate what you're doing? And then stay in touch. If you see something about them, remind them, hey, saw your name in the news, congratulations, good job, or I was at an interview at the association meeting, didn't see you there, was looking for you. Just a way of keeping that going, and I'll talk about another way to stay in touch. Okay, so that's the standard referral interview. That's, well, like I said, well understood. Everybody knows this one. This is one I made up on my own. This is called Focused Classwork. And this is based on my experience in college. And this comes from, have you ever had a group project? And you have to do a company analysis or an industry analysis that ever happened. How do you pick the company? If you're like me, it was, which company do we think we can get the information on the most easy? Which has the best, right? Which is the least work for us, okay? So imagine you were in a group, okay, and you were doing an industry analysis, and somebody in the group said, you know what? I think that we should be doing the Clorox Corporation, and I would be willing to contact the Clorox information to get some information for my report. What's the group going to say? Oh, yeah. And now you have an opportunity to talk to, because Clorox is one of your companies, and you have the name of a person at Clorox. You can contact that person and say, hi, I'm a student at San Francisco State, and we're doing a class project on your industry, and I was wondering if I could talk to you a little bit about what's going on in your industry in terms of industry trends so that we could do a better job with our project. Now, what's that person going to say? You asking for a job? Are you saying that you're an expert and I want to get your expert advice? Okay. So it's an opportunity. So you get there, and it's the same principle. You're prepared when you go in. You have good questions. You get the information. And then you come back. And believe me, when you do firsthand research talking to people at companies on a group project, your group members are going to love it, and your professors are going to love it. It's great. And then when you're done, you send a copy of the report to the person and say, hey, we got an A. Thank you so much for your help. Okay, so again, you're building that relationship that you're following them up. You're showing them that they made a difference in your life, and now they have a stake in your success because they're part of your academic career. And unlike every other student here, it would make them feel good if you were successful because that's the person I want. I want to pick a winner, not a loser. Okay, so you've got that going. Okay. And then, yeah, okay. I guess I just said all that. All right. So how do you use the network? Okay, the goal is to have a job, the job of your dreams, lined up 2 weeks after you graduate. Because you want to spend a couple of weeks just resplendent in the glory of having graduated and a couple of weeks on the beach, just to appreciate it, and then start the job. You don't want to start immediately after you graduate. So as you get close to graduation, you reconnect with your network and you say, I am going to graduate in June. You know me, we've talked. Based on what you know about me, can you think of anybody in the industry that I should be talking to who might have an opportunity? Have you asked for a job? No, you have never asked for a job during this process. They know you want one. But you're not asking for a job. Again, you're asking for referrals. And they may say, yeah, this company over here is hiring. You might want to talk to them. Let me send your name over so you don't get hung up in HR. Or they might say, we have some opportunities here. Let me tell the hiring manager about you. But the idea is you have at least 5 people that you're doing this with and you're building into their networks. And chances are pretty good that you might find 1 or 2 good opportunities out of this network building. That make sense? So the idea is you're playing the student card. You don't have that disease of not having a job. Unemployment doesn't look good on anybody. And never during this process are you explicitly asking for a job. You're always asking for advice, because it's not threatening to ask somebody for advice. It's threatening to ask somebody for a job. And everybody knows what's going on, and that's it. This is one of the interviews I had with Andy Weidland. He was one of the people we talked to for the book. I thought this was great. He was just talking about what kind of a company you should look at. And he says, I'm kind of mixed minds about whether you should go for it and try to get a job at a startup or go to a great established company and learn something for 3 years. One or the other. Taking a job that is middling and meandering is not world class. I think that's a mistake. So the idea is what you're looking for with that job is not so much a steady paycheck, but this is the first step on my career. This is building my resume. You can't get the job without experience. What experience am I getting on this job that will make me even more employable in the future?